All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're early because by his own accord, he asked to come on to Sportswire Radio, and technically, he's right because we do owe him an appearance. It has been a hot skip in a minute since he has last been with us, but I promise you, he is going to make it worth it tonight, and he is certainly, no pun intended, one of the best owners in all of professional wrestling, despite everything you might see on the air, off the air, and everything else he does to make Coloring Championship Wrestling one of our favorite companies around. They've got another huge show coming up. He's going to talk about it here, which is in 2 short weeks. We've got some friends of the show who are going to be in the ring. We've got some recent guests, and he's even going to be in the ring in his own right coming up next month at Carnage Championship Wrestling in a first blood match against Mr. Dustin Hart, plus who knows what else is on his mind. He needs no further introduction, but we're going to give it to him anyway. So let's wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one. Level Sports Show, the owner of Coloring Championship Wrestling, James Barrass. Mr. Barrass, how are you?
How am I? Really? What a stupid first question to open up your show. I'm very happy because I'm finally on this show, which I was supposed to be on weeks and weeks ago. But you put Slugger Hampton before me. You put Hybrid before me. You put others before me. Moi, the CEO of CCW. How comes, Rev?
Well, you're here now. You're here now, Mr. Barrass. I mean, what's on your mind? Obviously, those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio want to know. I mean, it's been a tough last couple of months for you, Mr. Barrass. I mean, Slugger Hampton, you mentioned there was an issue with the poll. Some would say it was taken down on your accord. Others would say it magically came up. We had Dustin Hart, a man who still doesn't have a contract. You're going to be in the ring with Hybrid, the underground heavyweight champion, certainly not by your choosing. I mean, it's been a tough last couple of months for James Barrass.
You've got that right, Tom. Now, the poll was not rigged. The poll was not doctored in any kind of way or anything or edited. I was up all night. I don't even drink coffee. I like to drink about 5-6 cups of coffee. My heart was going like this. I was doing everything I could to help Slugger Hampton, and I did. But it was just unlucky how the original vote was no, 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 no. It wasn't yes. In fact, there was a couple of yeses. We'll give that to Slugger. But his fans voted no for a reason. And he knows why. But McGregor, he gets his nose involved in, sniffing around in other people's business when it doesn't concern his. It's got nothing to do with the elite establishment at all. And then he comes up with this fake poll, and then everyone backs McGregor. Who the hell does McGregor think he is? He just needs to sit on the commentary desk, act all nicey nice, say his goddamn words when people are having a match, run the elite establishment for all I care, but do not get into my business, because the vote was no, and the poll never lies.
All right, and certainly Mr. McGregor has a bunch of comments here, first of all, kind of addressing this, so let me pull them up here. He also wants to ask, are we having any polls tonight? Well, that's certainly up for you to decide, Mr. Barrass. He also says that you're basically getting your knickers in a twist. He also says, it's funny that my IT team found the correct poll. The board had asked me to investigate. You can kiss my fill in the blanks. So, I mean, what do you have to say toward obviously Mr. McGregor, who certainly says a lot to retort what you just said?
His IT team. No mention of the CCW IT team. But I tell you what, I can't be bothered about arguing over a stupid poll that was rigged by you, McGregor, not me. You. So you can go in that match for all I care. That's just one more person for Grayson Riley to knock their heads off their shoulders, clean off their shoulders. So quite frankly, I don't care anymore. I'm past it now, right? Arguing over stupid polls. We're not 12 or 13 anymore. We're not kids. But I'm just going to say this, and I want to leave this to this. The poll never lies.
Okay, we'll certainly find out. And Colin also says, I was impartial as there were no elite establishment involvement. I had nothing to gain, or my team had nothing to gain. Okay, well, maybe that's the case. But you did touch upon Slugger Hampton, and let's talk about it. Obviously, he was one of our most recent guests, and he was the most recent CCW guest. And I mean, he has certainly given you and Grayson Riley some trouble here of late. And he seems like he's going through kind of, I guess, his own back and forth. And what do you now make of his involvement in the Underground Heavyweight Championship match coming up here at Miners Mania 2 in 2 weeks?
Well, like I said, Tom, it's just one more person to be eliminated. It's one more person to sit there and look at the crowd and go, I let yous all down, and walk backstage, get your suitcase and get the hell out of the Northeast and drive down with your head in your hands because you couldn't get the job done. Slugger Hampton attacked all three of us and cost Grayson Riley at Colliery Carnage too, but he was dressed as Robin Crow. Guess what? He could never do that dressed as himself. He has to dress as a stupid bird who still goes on that he hasn't returned his clothes. So there's a naked bird running around somewhere. So Slugger, do yourself a favour. Hurry up and get eliminated. Give the goddamn Robin Crow his clothes back. You know, it is winter. Things do shrivel up in the winter time. So come on, be nice.
Let me ask you a little question, because you spoke about Grayson Riley. Obviously, the history there between Slugger and Grayson speaks for itself. We spoke about it, obviously, with Slugger and what happened. And, I mean, Grayson Riley, I have to ask the question because you're here with us for the first time in a while. Did Grayson Riley sell out and double-cross Slugger Hampton?
No, certainly not. Grayson Riley saw an opportunity. He was sitting next to a fool for months, absolute months. I could see it in the back of my mind, and I kept my mouth shut. And all you heard was Slugger Hampton. You know, you could have had an army of violins behind the guy. He was telling that much of a sob story and spitting his dummy out. You know, if I didn't get my own way, we're leaving CCW. We're gone. And all I saw was a guy sitting next to him who looked like he was just going along with that idiot. But you could see it in his eyes that he didn't really want to go. This guy isn't ready to quit. He's not a quitter. He's not a loser. And now it's time for him to take out the trash, which is Slugger Hampton, and go on his own path with top tier and now start dominating this industry.
All right, well, let me ask you a follow-up, because we spoke about this with Slugger, and I want to get your thoughts, because we think about what top tier was, and we think about certainly what the working class militia was for a large part of 2022. Some say that Slugger Hampton was the guy that put CCW on the map in different wrestling companies, like GT Ministries, for example. His performance there in the Rumble, where he was the last one eliminated. He was eliminated by Gareth Angel. Obviously, Gareth Angel speaks for itself. He actually eliminated Disciple, who holds not one but 2 world titles currently. We saw the working class militia successfully defend those tag team titles in places like GT Ministries. We saw them show up in places like Nonstop Action Wrestling. The list goes on. Some would say that Slugger Hampton was responsible for putting CCW on the map outside of CCW. What would your response be to that?
My response is so easy. Once Slugger got the gold around his waist or shoulder, wherever the hell he puts it, then he went out, look at me. And then what happened? He lost the titles. And then what did he do? Did he go to other promotions and start doing what he did as a tag team champion? No, he didn't. It was all for his show. And then when he lost and he started spitting his dummy, we saw the real Slugger Hampton. He was like a kid at Christmas that got his favourite console. Look at me, a PlayStation 5, whoop-de-doo. But all his friends were Xbox people, and he wants to spit his dummy. And I tell you what, Slugger Hampton, if you even think that you're going in to Miners Mania successfully and leaving with that championship and then going to other promotions, then just get that thought right out your head, because it isn't happening one bit. You had a little good run as a tag team champion with Grayson Riley, but then that came to an end, and then the dummies started spitting out. And guess what? I don't deal with babies. I deal with men.
All right, we'll certainly find out, but you did touch upon it, and I have to ask you that follow-up question, because technically, which has got to be your biggest fear as a promoter and owner, that Slugger, I mean, he technically doesn't work for you in CCW. He wins this match. He could go to other companies. He could go to other places, and who knows what he could do with this championship. This has to be your biggest fear, objectively speaking, as owner of this company. If he somehow comes out as the survivor and wins that underground heavyweight championship, Mr. Barrass, we could see him show up. Who knows where? Who knows? He could show up even in places that aren't necessarily friendly with CCW. We just don't know.
You believe that's going to happen now, Tom? Because I don't.
I don't know that to be true, because there are five other participants there are 5 other participants that would disagree with that, but there is a chance. There still is mathematically a chance that Slugger Hampton could come away with the Underground Heavyweight Championship. That has to be your biggest fear, even more of a bigger fear than, let's say, I don't know, Hybrid retaining the title, or let's say, I don't know, maybe even a guy that doesn't work for you also in Killjoy winning the championship. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. So that has to be your biggest fear coming up in 2 weeks.
Why don't we just forget about this question, Tom, and move on to something else, please? Thank you.
Okay, but you still should answer that question, because there are people out there that might want to know what you think about it. You are the owner of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. You are responsible for making decisions, and clearly this is something that there is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, because certainly there are 5 other participants that would certainly disagree with this, but there is a 1 in 6 chance Slugger Hampton could come away with this title, and who knows what he could do with it. Listen, he could throw the Underground Heavyweight Championship in the river years ago, like Stone Cold Steve Austin did with the Intercontinental title. I mean, we just don't know. We honestly just don't know.
Okay, he does have a chance. A 1 in 6 chance, if you want to say that. Okay, he does have a chance. But he's not getting it. Does that answer the question?
Okay, it sort of does, but then what in your mind do you think needs to happen to ensure that he actually doesn't have any chance? What would be, from your vantage point then, since you answered the question? I'll let you follow up.
2 words. Grayson Riley. Did you not see what he did last year in the tournament?
I did.
Or when he took on, whenever it was, when he took on Slugger Hampton. He beat Slugger Hampton. So that is my insurance policy. That guy, Grayson Riley, because he is going to beat him for the second time. Simple as.
All right. Well, let me ask you then another question here about the main event, and let me get your perspective on it. So would you be happy then, let's say, Grayson Riley is your man. We've got that basically over the past few months. There's no question that he's your man, and I could certainly see why in a lot of reasons, basically, on what he can do in the ring, and no question, he has proven himself, absolutely, and I would certainly never take away his abilities and what he can do in the ring, and I have no doubt we'll have him back on before the 31st of March. But the other 4 participants, let's say, in this match, would you be happy if any of them had even won, just so Slugger doesn't win? Killjoy,
you are a talented individual or whoever the hell
He
you are, this
seems to, for
cult
whatever
leader or
reason, yeah, he seems to have an interesting relationship with a guy you've had a little bit in the company, Remus Kane. They seem to have some sort of, I guess, friendship, or at least in Killjoy's mind, he wants a friendship with Remus Kane. Mr. Kane doesn't seem to want anything to do with that, though.
I can't answer for Remus Kane, but whatever they do beyond CCW is out of my control. But Killjoy, do you have a chance like Slugger? Of course you do. But the result is going to be the same as Slugger, I'm afraid. Let me move on to Beelzebub, the demon protector, whoever he is, that Dagon summoned back in the day. What's he done? Nothing. Then we have Hammerhead Smith. Hammerhead Smith. Now, I watched that video that you put out, your little promo that you put out earlier on, and same old Hammerhead, all mouth, and can't get the job done. You had it once, and you let it go. So how and why did you let it go before? Because you were on top of CCW. You had everything. You had us behind you, and then it wasn't good enough for you. It wasn't good enough for you the first time. So you're walking in a losing man because you're not ready for it the second time. And then we come to the champion Hybrid. Hybrid. Where is Hybrid? Because the last time I saw Hybrid, he was in this ring getting his arse whooped by Walker of Wall Street. Getting whipped, getting beat up, getting strangled. And I haven't seen the guy since. But Hybrid has been impressive. He survived since December as champion. But it's the end of the road now, Hybrid. You've kept that warm for a while. It's the end of the road for you now, sunshine.
Certainly some have said that the way Hybrid took the championship was certainly opportunistic-like, and certainly wasn't the way to go about things. I'll come back to the champion in a second, but Hammerhead Smith, the man you just addressed before that, was the champion, and as Colin McGregor points out, was with you last year, obviously with Top Tier, and we had Hammerhead Smith on several weeks ago, and I mean, is he the guy that maybe now, because he's finally getting his crack back at a title he never lost, is that the guy that could conceivably be the favorite in this match, objectively speaking?
Some say yes and some say no. Well, that's up to them to decide on that one. Hammerhead has got a lot of experience and he does bring a lot to CCW and where that he goes. I will give that to the guy. And I tell you what, it would have been nice to see how things would have turned out if Hammerhead did stay with Top Tier 1 year ago. But things happen. We move on. We turn to new chapters, but we're on different sides this time, 1 year later. So Hammerhead, do you have a chance? You've got the same chance as Slugger and Killjoy and Beelzebub. But it's going to be the same ending as for everyone apart from Grayson Riley.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are certainly going to find out here coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this Friday, as Coloring Championship Wrestling presents yet another sold-out show here. It is called Miners Mania 2, and we are going to see in the main event a 6-person elimination match. We are going to see Killjoy, Beelzebub. We are going to see Slugger Hampton, who certainly Mr. James Barrass has spoke a lot about. Grayson Riley. Also, Hammerhead Smith, the former CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion, who never lost it, who, by the way, has also wrestled the likes of MLWs, the Billington Bulldogs, who we see here in America each and every week on the Reels channel, which is in 49 million homes. So Hammerhead Smith has been on the biggest stage. He has wrestled the biggest talent here. And also our current champion, which is Hybrid, who is the Underground Heavyweight Champion. But he also has a comment to you, Mr. Barrass. Apparently Hybrid is here with us. And he also says it will be easy work coming up here. Do you think the champ is too confident with the comment like that? Or what's your perspective on Hybrid now that he's here after this comment?
Will it be easier work than how you won the comments on that one, Sunshine? Easy work. We will see. We will see.
Okay, we will certainly see, and that's the case. And Casey Jack Bradley has joined us. He says hello. He also says Slugger is coming back whether you like it or not. Colin McGregor also says would love to see Hybrid spearing you. So certainly that's what Colin McGregor wants to see, but we'll have to find out. Certainly the only way you can find out is if you already got your ticket. So that is certainly some of the things here. But
that Casey, whoever that dude is, I've seen him commenting a few times. I've seen him commenting a few times on the poll. I reckon he could have been a person that was in on it as well. Could you be? Could you be the IT people that rigged this vote? I know I wasn't going to mention it again, but it just seems like he was snooping around as well. I don't know who he is, but there's something going on. Mark my words, Casey, I'll find out. Because the poll never lies, Casey.
We'll certainly have to find out, but I have to interrupt you, Mr. Barrass, because I do have a couple of comments. First of all, I want to bring up a comment here, actually, from an individual who I was with last night that I had announced while he was here with us that you were coming on, and his name is currently Disciple, and he is right now the GT Ministries and the Nonstop Action Wrestling World Champion. Now, I hear you talk a lot about these different participants. Certainly, Grayson Riley is somebody you would hope to come away with Hybrid's championship. But I have to ask you, because obviously Disciple had told us last night that he's getting ready to be in movies, possibly TV shows, and obviously he is certainly a very, very presentable champion in two companies that you have a relationship right now with in GT Ministries and in Nonstop Action Wrestling. I mean, I have to wonder, when are we going to see a real world champion come into CCW and Disciple? I mean, when is Disciple going to be a part of your company? And I'd love to see him wrestle the likes of a Hammerhead Smith or a Hybrid. And he's already been in the ring with somebody like a Slugger Hampton. I'm sure he could handle him in a one-on-one match, possibly. I mean, when is Disciple going to be in CCW?
I'll answer your first question because I heard you saying, when are we going to see a real CCW champion in CCW? And that will be on the 31st of March at Miners Mania 2 when Grayson Riley becomes the new CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion. Then I'll answer your second question. When will we see Disciple in CCW? Well, Disciple, congratulations on being double champ in 2 promotions. I will be in touch. I will be in contact. Because we need fresh new faces and we need champions to be in CCW for Grayson Riley to stomp all over. He's already went through nearly all the roster and we need new guys in, just like you, with titles around their waists or shoulders, who think they are it. But Grayson Riley destroys anything that thinks they are it. I'll be in touch, Disciple. Good day, sir.
Okay, but he is a double champion. And by the way, the roster that he is disposed of in those 2 companies, I mean, speaks for itself. So certainly, I don't think that Mr. Riley or anybody else would exactly walk over somebody who, by the way, some would say, this is not my opinion, but some would say across professional wrestling, has the best spine buster in the business. So I'm just saying that certainly if Disciple shows up into CCW, he could certainly very well be the favorite to walk away with the underground heavyweight title and be a triple champion. But before I come back to hybrid, I do want to bring up this comment from somebody that was, by the way, also a former world champion and somebody I know that you know and you've done some business with, and that is Mr. Gareth Angel. And he says Slugger Hampton might not be alone. Now, what does Mr. Angel mean by that? I mean, and what would you like to say toward Mr. Angel, who seems like he's made a return, or at least a return into wrestling here in the past few weeks?
Gareth the Angel, you are totally correct. Slugger Hampton might not be alone. Correct. Because he is going to be in the ring with 5 other competitors. So you are correct. So, if I'm thinking what other people are thinking, does that mean that you've just given away a little hint there that Gareth the Angel might be turning up to Miners Mania 2? Who knows that? But you stay away from Grayson Riley. You stay away from top tier. If you do decide to come up to CCW on the 31st, and just remember, the result will always be the same, whether you're there or whether you're not.
Could it be a foreshadowing of things to come? I don't know. Stay tuned, but you most certainly want to follow Colory Championship Wrestling on Facebook, please, at Colory Championship Wrestling. Also, please follow them on Instagram as well, where you can keep up to date with all the great things that CCW has to offer. Certainly one of our favorite companies around. You can follow them at Colory Championship _Wrestling. Also, Carnage Championship Wrestling, I like to give a big shout out to, which we'll get to in a few short minutes, because Mr. Barrass is actually going to be wrestling there very, very soon. But I have some more comments. Let me try to get to everybody. Skulls, who, by the way, is a soul collector. He hunts souls. So maybe you need a guy like Skulls to help you out. He comes, by the way, via California through the EWF. He says Skulls is here. Also, Casey Jack Bradley says that he may or may not be a fan of Slugger Hampton. Jamie Mack, another guy I do owe an appearance to, says, hi, I suppose, to Mr. Barrass. But let me get to hybrid, because he certainly has a comment toward what I had to say and what you had to say. He also says, I have shown openly my interest in wrestling Disciple, and many people want it. As for Grayson, he was using dirty tactics and low blows. I'm glad he got what was coming to him.
Hybrid. Instead of being a keyboard warrior, get focused and get ready, because it's all going to end on the 31st. No matter what you say, no matter what you put in, blah, 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 utter crap. What you're trying to say is you couldn't keep up with Grayson Riley. He out-wrestled you. He outdid you on everything. And you were that close to losing. And then Slugger, dressed as Robin Crow, saved the day.
Okay. All right. Well, certainly we'll see if Hybrid's time is coming to an end as Underground Heavyweight Champion. I don't know. Stay tuned. That's what I'll say. Skulls says he would like to see fresh blood in CCW. As I think most people, objectively speaking, always like to see fresh blood. And certainly CCW is the place that I would remind people, regardless of what you think of James Barrass, does offer those opportunities. Gareth Angel says, who knows?
You know what, Rev? I like not to be liked. It's simple as that. They don't like me. I don't care. They love me deep down inside. I know they do. because they would die to be in my position. They would love to be in my position. They would love to be as creative and inventive as a guy like me. Look what I have built. Take a look around at CCW. And all they do is whine and moan and complain and just being disrespectful to me. They don't care. I once did care, but then I grew a set of balls.
All right. Well, certainly, there's no question that there's one thing I do appreciate, Mr. Barrass, is I have to say I'm a fan of the CCW sweater. I will say I'm a fan of the sweater. Some other things, we could always agree to disagree. But I do want to bring up a comment from somebody else that I think you might know, and I'm actually wearing his shirt right now. That is Mr. Big Cheese Logan. He says, "Good evening, gents. He doesn't beat the Big Cheese." Fact. Anything you want to say to Mr. Big Cheese Logan? I understand that there is some familiarity between you two in some form or another. Anything you want to say to Mr. Big Cheese?
I don't know who the Big Cheese is referring to. Is it me, or is he talking to someone else on the comments? I don't see the comments. Is he talking to you, Rev? In fact, I don't care who he's talking to be honest. I really don't care. But the Big Cheese, if you want to make a name for yourself up in the northeast of wrestling, give me a call sometimes. Or sometime, send a message or reach out, and I'll get back to you when I'm ready.
Okay, well, we'll see him in action coming up on April the 21st for our friends over at Championship Wrestling Entertainment. And the Big Cheese will be back before that, so we'll have him on the week before the 21st of April. And undoubtedly, the Big Cheese might have something to say about that, but we'll come back to him certainly for sure. Casey Jack Bradley says, "What have you got against Slugger? Is it jealousy, or maybe he's better than you when it comes to winning the crowd?" Would you want to answer that, Mr. Barrass?
Winning the crowd. Winning the crowd. You don't win the crowd. You win matches. You win championship titles. What business are you in, Casey? What business are you in? And what have I got against Slugger? We're in the goddamn wrestling industry. And all he did was whine and moan, spit his dummy out, played the violin. Hoo-dee-ha, blah, 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 making empty threats he couldn't keep up with because he lost. And where is he? He's disguising himself. He's still trying to get into CCW. But I thought he was going to walk off in the sunset like he promised everybody. So what is making Slugger keep coming back when he said he was leaving CCW? He said he was going to leave. He should have just left and walked off and never to return. But you know why he's still hanging around for? Because I have something he doesn't, and that is Grayson Riley. And he doesn't want to see his former tag team champion, his former best friend, everything, to see him being successful anywhere he goes, especially CCW. Now, Slugger, this was once your family and once your home. But guess what? You've lost it. It's gone. Once you are eliminated on the 31st, it's bye, and do not return. You can watch by all means. You can watch your former best friend rise to the top and be dominant and successful in CCW. But you can sit at home, pet your little dog, and shut the hell up because I'm sick of whiny little moany girls like you twisting that you want everything on a silver platter. You once did have it all, and then you lost it. And then we saw the true you. But I do not deal with babies in CCW anymore. Like you. You are gone after the 31st of March. You can have this one last match, and then you can say goodbye to all them pathetic friends, family who are going to be in the audience. And you can cry. Yeah, I'll bring the tissues. I'll bring the toilet roll. And I'll hand them to you personally at the end. And then you're gone. And I'll be watching you get in that car and you drive the hell away from me, CCW, in the northeast of England. Do you understand, Slugger?
Well, could it be the end of days for Slugger Hampton and Cutlery Championship Wrestling? I don't know, but I do know March 31st is shaping up to be a huge, huge show here. I have some more comments. Let me run through quickly a few of them, but bring up somebody else who is also going to be a part of that main event. Colin also says, did you know that James Barrass' personal program is Pillock? Okay, we'll certainly keep that in mind. Thank you. We may have built CCW, but it's the fans and hard workers that have made CCW what it is. This person says, you don't win, he has won. Now, I'm going to get to this comment here before I have another comment because you're going to be in the ring next month, which I want to talk about in a second. But this participant, who has certainly been no stranger to us here on Sportswire Radio, a man we actually have a T-shirt of his from, and he is going to be in the main event. Also, his name is Dan Robertson, a.k.a. Killjoy. He says, evening from the cult. Can't wait to become the CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion at Miners Mania. And you know what's interesting about this comment, Mr. Barrass, is we're going to see him the following day at Nonstop Action Wrestling Zenith. And I'm sure for that company, despite what they may think of Dan Robertson Killjoy, they would certainly love to have your company's championship at their next show for him to go around with. And I mean, is that also another one of your big fears or concerns that an outsider in Killjoy could be having and wearing your company's championship on the 31st of March?
I see where you're going with this, Rev. I can see the smile in your face. You're trying to get underneath my skin. You're trying to make me bite. You're trying to make me snap. You're trying to make me think of all these possibilities. You're trying to worm inside my head. It's not going to happen. Killjoy, whoever the hell, you'll be waiting a long time. But I tell you what, Reverend, I'm watching you. And I can see it in your eyes and that little smile on your face. And that's exactly what you're doing. You are trying to get inside my mind. You are trying to get underneath my skin. It's not going to work. Do you understand, Reverend?
Well, I don't think I'm having too much of a problem to do that because I have somebody else here that I'm sure is going to get under your skin, figuratively and literally, because next month you're going to be in the ring at Carnage Championship Wrestling with this man, another man that does not have a contract with CCW technically. He is one half of the tag team champions from the CWO. His name is Dustin Hart, and certainly the CWO did such a number on you at the final show of the year in Cutlery Championship Wrestling in 2022. And Dustin Hart, all he says here is the legend himself, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and I have to throw it out there. I mean, Mr. Barrass, next month, first blood match, Dustin Hart, Carnage Championship Wrestling. I mean, are you going to be
simple,
under the blade?
Easy. Under the blade. I am going to walk in to this ring, and Dustin, you are going to face straight opposite me there. I am going to be the last thing you are ever going to see, and then it's lights out. And then when you do wake your eyes open, and you do look, and you see it's all blurred, and there's just so much stuff trickling down your head into your eyes, that's going to be you when you're soaked in blood from my fist. Do you understand, Dustin Hart? Do you understand? Because yes, you've been around a while, and you are good. You are very good. But guess what? You are crumbling. You are getting old. You are nearly ready. Do you understand? So I tell you what, all your fans, Dustin Hart's fans, wherever you are, if you are watching this, you are all going to witness Dustin covered in his own blood while my arm is raised by the referee. And you can chant my name all you want, but I do not care one bit what I do to Dustin, and I don't care one bit about you, Dustin's fans. Dustin is the one I took under my wing. I was the one that brought him into CCW. I was the one that made Dustin Hart. I made you, Dustin. You got where you were because of me. Because you were with me. And you will always deny that. Always. And then he thinks he's clever because he got my own mother involved with the CWO. He thinks he's clever because my own mother slapped my face so hard, my jaw span round so fast, straight into the DK or the Dustin knockout cut or whatever you want. He wants to call it. You caught me off guard. But Dustin Hart, you seen what were you capable of. Nerds, when he took you out on your own goddamn show. To be honest, even Walker Wall Street did that as well. You, my friend, just need to do what Slugger Hampton is going to do, and is get the hell away from CCW and me once and for all. And I'll make sure in April, when we go against each other, that would be your last match. Believe me when I say that, Dustin.
Ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like the strongest words yet from the owner of Colory Championship Wrestling, Mr. James Barrass, who certainly is in no mood here of any sorts whatsoever when it comes to Mr. Dustin Hart. And I have a lot of comments here to get through because apparently that has certainly, some may say, has poked the bear and some. Skulls says, let chaos be unleashed. So we'll certainly find out. John Rowlinson says here, certainly the voice of reason, Barrass's obsession with Slugger is turning CCW into a cat and mouse game, specifically Tom and Jerry. We all know who got the best of that exchange. Don't count out the cult of Killjoy, who certainly found a way to get into the head of a guy, Young Horace, and he wound up beating him despite the beating that he took at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fatal Attraction. So some might say Killjoy has as good a chance as even a Hammerhead Smith. Big Cheese Logan says, this is sure an entertaining interview. Mr. James Barrass knows how to work a microphone. Or could it just be that he's got a lot on his mind here? I don't know. Colin McGregor certainly says, we all can't wait. Even I am shouting for Dustin Hart. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We also have here, we're here as always from Lee Stringer. Colin McGregor says, Dustin Hart, we all know where he is now. Go and visit him. John Rawlinson says, there'll be nobody chanting your name, James. You've made certain of that. Jamie Mack says, to even go further, I can't wait to see Dustin leave Barrass in a bloody mess on April the 15th at Carnage Championship Wrestling. Skulls even, who, by the way, is a soul collector via the state of California here in the United States, says he is going to make you famous, Dustin. Dustin is all heart and all CCW and CWO for life. Change the Pampers for Mr. Barrass. Barrass is going to bust a blood vessel if he keeps going. But Dustin Hart himself, I would like to bring up his comment last. I can turn up anytime, Barrass, anywhere. And at the next Carnage show, we will get this sorted once and for all.
No, I will get this sorted once and for all. Not you. Me.
Okay, well, we'll certainly have to find out here. And also, I have a few more comments. Somebody you sort of referenced who actually attacked Hybrid, and that was, well, that's not yet. That was Walker Wall Street. He says, blah, 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 blah. All I want to know is why in the hell I'm in a tag team match with Tommy Diamond again. He needs to go. You want to actually respond to Walker Wall Street there on that comment, since he's actually directly called you out there on that?
Well, what can I say about Walker of Wall Street? He hasn't had a good set of cards dealt for him lately, has he? You know, with his tag team partner turning on him. But, you know, he did eliminate Tommy, you know, so kind of like, you know, don't throw stones in glass houses. Simple as Walker of Wall Street. You just need to kiss and make up. You're either with each other or you're against each other. But just, McGregor, hurry up and put them on detention and put them in get a room, because your boys definitely do need to kiss and goddamn make up once and for all.
Okay, all right. Well, that's certainly
Next,
strong words there. Strong words there, Mr. Barrass. I'll certainly give you that one here. And Colin McGregor says body double, Buster Blood Vessel, James Barrass. So he's saying you're a body double with Buster Blood Vessel. And he also says lip up fatty, James Barrass, and less of your bad manners. John Rowlandson also says they've certainly got bad manners in common. Skulls also says the line has been laid out. And Dustin Hart says, "Careful, Barrass. I turn up when you least expect." I want to ask you a general question because we hear a lot of tonight about people like Dustin Hart over the past 10 or so minutes, and Slugger Hampton. Certainly, you've had a lot to say about. We've had outside wrestlers who don't work here, technically Killjoy, Dan Robertson, once again, have his name heard here. We even spoke about a double champion and Disciple, but I mean, this really has to have been the toughest last few months or so of your career, or just in your life in general. Your own mother slapped you. You've lost the belts. You've had Slugger Hampton give Grayson Riley some problems here of late. I mean, how are you going to overcome all this? I mean, this is arguably, I think, maybe even been in your entire life the roughest last couple of months you've had, Mr. Barrass.
you are correct for once. But sometimes when you're at the bottom, you can't go any further down. And you've got to stand on your feet and get back up and crawl right back to the top. And that's what we are doing. Top tier were a thing back in the day, a great thing. And then it did crumble. But now we've seen sense. We're back together. We got rid of the crybaby. We don't have, Hammerhead anymore. We have the people that deserve to be in top tier. We have the people that need to be in top tier. And we are going to excel right back to the top. And we are going to be the lions on top of the mountain, looking down at each and every one of the CCW roster.
Okay, we'll talk about one of those members of the top tier, Alfie Nerd. Certainly, Alfie Nerd is a name that we haven't got a chance to speak about and talk about maybe what you see from him maybe coming up here.
Alfie Nerd is putting in hard work, so much hard work. That boy grafts his backside off in this ring when he's training. He's ready, and he is under the watchful eye of Grayson Riley. He is under the watchful eye of me as well. And he is doing absolutely fantastic. And he will go on and do incredible things in CCW. No doubt about that. This guy is ready. This guy's ready to defend top tier, to fight for top tier, to live for top tier, and even die for top tier. Because we are a family in top tier.
Well, we'll certainly see and find out what happens. Certainly, some would say that was not the case with the likes of Hammerhead Smith and Slugger Hampton. And we are on Sportswire Radio with the owner of Cutlery Championship Wrestling here for about 10 or 15 minutes. His name is James Barrass, and you can follow Cutlery Championship Wrestling at Cutlery Championship_Wrestling on Instagram. Cutlery Championship Wrestling, join their page on Facebook, their group. Also, please support Carnage Championship Wrestling as well. My name, you know by now, is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. And if you like what you hear from us on Facebook, continue to give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio YouTube. You can watch all of our shows back at Sportswire Radio, also 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And we are here with Mr. James Barrass, certainly the top tier when it comes to professional wrestling owners around. And he has had a lot to say tonight, especially when it comes to the likes of Slugger Hampton, Dustin Hart, Grayson Riley. He has certainly been counting on big time here to come through and take away that underground heavyweight championship of the world that Hybrid has held here for the past few months. And a few more comments. Skulls is saying, let the hunting season begin. Could it be a hunting season for Grayson Riley and Alfie Nerd? I don't know. Could very well be. I see another wedgie in their future. Jamie Mack, I think, is going on a limb here, and safe to say he's going to try. Casey Jack Bradley says Slugger Hampton is the Louisville Slugger, or in this case, the Cutlery Slugger, because he bashes heads, and the 5 other men will be in his targets to bash heads. Well, stay tuned, my friend. March 31st is coming, and the talking is going to cease because everybody's going to show up in the ring there very, very soon. But you also have an event I wanted to touch upon very quickly that I know we're talking in all these different things, but in a way, if you don't mind for a second, I'd like to put over Fight the Fight 2, which is coming up here later this year, and maybe talk about this event for those that are listening and watching and why this event is important and how we can get involved.
See, Tom, this is the thing about them idiots out there that have an opinion about me. I'm not a bad guy. I'm far from a bad guy. You know, we are having a charity night in aid of the Bradley Lowry Foundation. So all proceeds will go to this foundation. And the money is going towards a holiday home for all the sick children to spend time with their families, their loved ones, to make memories and things like that. Having a bit of time away from the world and all the crap that can go on with it. So we have 200 tickets. And just because, you know, CCW is nice and I'm a nice man, people will, you know, disagree on that. But the following week, we do have a show. So anybody that does buy a ticket for the 22nd of July for Fight the Fight Round 2, which will not only just have a wrestling show that's going on, a Freddie Mercury tribute act, DJ, raffle, all of that in a lovely, massive Easington Welfare Hall, beautiful stage, everything like that, raising money for a great cause. I know times are hard and people struggle. So whoever buys a ticket for that show can get the following week for half price for a ticket. There you go. That is what Top Tier does.
Well, certainly very few owners, I would say, would certainly do that here. And Skulls is on James Barrass's side. So you've earned the support, apparently, of a soul collector, and he hunts souls. So maybe you need him down in the CCW all the way from California. I mean, maybe you need a soul collector out there for you. Just maybe. We'll find out. But I did want to ask you because I know that we have another show coming up because we always have one each and every month here in Colory Championship Wrestling. And I have no doubt it'll be sold out after what we see in 2 weeks from now, this Friday at Miners Mania 2. But talk about next month's show coming up. We've already got a name for it. And for those who are listening and watching on Sportzwire, tell us about it.
Next month, we have an event called You See, We Play. And I get a night off. Because
really, you get a night off?
It's you guys. I'll get a night off. Thank God for that. So it's not down to me or the CCW board or sometimes McGregor when he likes to put his nose in on things and make some decisions. But it's down to the fans that attend, the fans that watch online. It's all down to them. They will make the matches. They will make the stipulations, the rules, everything. It's all down to the CCW fans.
Wow. I mean, this is pretty revolutionary there, Mr. Barrass. The fans are going to decide all of this here. I have to say, this is certainly revolutionary.
Some may say it, but at least I get a goddamn night off. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Well, I hope you enjoy it, Mr. Barrass. That's all I'll say. I hope that you definitely enjoy it, and I know that the fans of CCW, which are, again, like no other, and I want everybody to continue to support CCW, join their page. It's thousands upon thousands of members who are part of their group, and wrestlers left and right always are saying something and doing something, and CCW really is one of the most interactive companies out there in terms of what it does for its fans. So please continue to support Colory Championship Wrestling. Also says Cullen McGregor says me with a question mark. Skull said fan shot caller. So he calls it the fan shot caller show. Okay, appreciate that. Jamie Mack says, I hope the fans vote for Barrass versus Davey Dudes and a bra and panties match. I don't know if that would be something that I would vote for, but maybe there's somebody out there that might do that. I don't know. Eventually, you'll see me in CCW in the future. Just a matter of when I'm ready, but you'll see me soon. Do I know something, or do you know something about this? Because I don't know that, but I guess we'll have to find out one day. I mean, I guess, right? Although I want to see Disciple first. I think we've made it clear he's a double champion, and I do think that he would be worthy of CCW very soon. That I think that people would agree upon.
Well, sitting there thinking about Disciple, he seems like a top tier guy. 2 titles, top of the mountain. Who knows, eh?
All right, fair enough. I'll give you that much. Skulls says, AKA fans, pick your poison. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that before. Pick your poison matches. So, yeah, that could be the case. I realize we're going to have more coverage on the CCW Facebook pages, so I don't want to hold up everybody here for too much longer here because people want to go and watch some of the other streams. And I know Taylor Truth's show is going to be back next week, so big shout out to Taylor Truth's. I know he's not going to have a show coming up here, but there'll be something in his place, I know, in a few short minutes. So I want to give you the floor before I get to closing thoughts and ask you this last question, and kind of a 2-part question. The first is, what do you want to say first to Dustin Hart before April the 15th at Carnage Championship Wrestling, first blood match? And what do you want to say, actually, to any of the participants in the main event of Miners Mania 2, and anything else that might be on your mind to anybody else here watching and listening to this?
Dustin Hart. It's a punishment too. I hope you feel the need to bleed, because that is what's going to happen. And Miners Mania 2, them 5 competitors that's going up against Grayson Riley, it's going to end the same way. You all might as well jump into one car and say goodbye. Your hopes and dreams have just been shattered by Grayson Riley. Now, I'm going to end on this one. The vote or the poll never lies. Now, good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first here from James Barrass. The polls never lie, and Dustin Hart is going to have a need for blood. Will it be like Need for Speed, the game I used to famously play with my friends growing up? I don't know, but James Barrass is in a mood here like no other we have seen him here in his prior appearances on Sportswire Radio. The show should be called Fans of Colory, You Decide. Well, I mean, look, fans are going to decide regardless, and we certainly will get into the conversation. Mr. Barrass, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, say? Anything else on your mind? Floor is yours, and thank you for the opportunity here, sir.
Slugger, you had your time. You had your chance. And you threw it all away. Now, you made your bed. You goddamn lie in it, sunshine. No, thank you very much for having me on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, certainly you want to follow Colory Championship Wrestling one more time at Colory Championship _Wrestling. Please like their pages on Facebook, Colory Championship Wrestling, Carnage Championship Wrestling, and the offspring of CCW also has a show coming up April the 15th. But most importantly, Miners Mania 2. It's going to be the biggest CCW show yet. It is 2 weeks from this Friday.
It's going to be that big. I am riding in on a goddamn tank.
It's going to be so big that it's going to be bigger than even a tank that James Barrass is going to come in with. So certainly, I'm not going to ask how he got the tank, but I am going to certainly tell everybody to follow CCW, like and support, join their groups. CCW is always one of our favorite companies. And forget about WrestleMania, forget about NXT shows coming up, Impact that weekend. It's going to be all about CCW Friday, March the 31st. Mr. Barrass, thank you as always. We certainly do appreciate and admire the sweater, and hopefully one day we'll have some CCW merchandise like everybody else we wear these days, and we'll definitely speak with you soon, my friend.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are right now on Facebook watching this, please go over to the Coloring Championship Wrestling page and watch their shows coming up here. And also, if you're on sportnarium.com/player, go back to your regularly scheduled programming here in a few minutes, and I'll be back a little after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Dan Burns, Brooklyn College Athletics Hall of Famer. So if you want to hear some college basketball here in America, you'll get that here. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the number one global radio station. I will be back here tomorrow night, Thursday morning, UK time, with Craven Rage, the Wrestling Championship Entertainment All-Out Champion. He's going to have a lot to say about a guy's skulls right here. So that'll be about 10 p.m. Central Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a lot to say with Craven Rage. He's the ruler of the WC Yard, but stay tuned for more details later to come. But also go to CCW's page on Facebook now and watch their stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the number one global radio station.